Hello and welcome to a new episode of Blind Lager Tasting. My name is Elud and today we are going to be tasting lagers from the Budvar Brewery from the Czech Republic. This can be very familiar to anybody watching this video from anywhere around the world because this is a heavily exported product. Not only that, but this brewery produces 1.9 million hectoliters of beer. 1.3 million of those are sent for export. They are exporting to numerous countries. To my knowledge, it's over 40 countries. So many of us are probably able to find this product in your local liquor store or convenience store. The only thing that you can notice if you're in North America is that it will not say Budweiser. Likely it will either say Budvar or, in the North American market, Czechvar. Now why is that? Well, as of now, there is 40 ongoing lawsuits between this brewery and the American version of Budweiser, AB InBev. This is sort of a fight over who can use this name in which markets. It's a very interesting story. It is worth investigating. But the story in short is that they are sort of the rightful owners of that name, but AB InBev, throughout the 100+ years of its existence, has grown such a giant corporation with such a lobby force that in certain markets they have the right to use that name and the original doesn't. So it's a very interesting story. To my knowledge, one of those lawsuits that are currently ongoing is over 100 years old. It's a very interesting phenomenon. But let's just move on to the beers that we're going to be tasting today. This brewery is essentially making these 4 lagers. Now they have a dark lager, obviously, in their portfolio. But just like in a previous video when we tried Storebrunner products, we are going to be going through all of the pale lagers in the brewery selection. So I'm actually really looking forward to try these and compare these and give you feedback on how these are different from one another. A little bit more about the brewery. It is worth visiting. Again, it's a brewery in Czech Republic, in České Budějovice. It is closer to the Austrian border, and it is definitely worth a visit. It's a very big brewery, and the brewery tour is actually very informative, so it is highly recommended. The 4 beers that we are going to be tasting, 2 of those can be tasted in the lagering cellars of that brewery. And just to give you a concept of the lagering capacity of that brewery, they have up to 300,000 hectoliters worth of lagering capacity in the facility. And later on, when we look at these recipes or beers individually, you'll see why. Well, let's see the first one right here, the original. This is what you can find in most countries around the world. This original is using traditional Czech Zás hops, and they use whole leaf hops. It is a very traditional way of using this hop product, but it's also very wasteful, sort of, because there's a lot of green matter in it that you will not necessarily need. But if you look at brewing this product as traditionally as possible, this would be the way to do it. Not only that, but they are using up to 2.5 tons of these whole leaf hops a day, because they're just going through so many of these batches a day. They brew about 10 batches a day on 2 identical brew houses, 2 identical 4-vessel brew houses, which has a capacity of 600 hectoliters of beer a day. Now that requires a lot of hops, and if you're using whole leaf hops, that can add up to a whole bunch. So this one is using Zás hops, and after it's brewed and the primary fermentation is done, they are lagered up to 90 days. So that's 3 months of lagering in the lager cellars. And if you add up, you have a production of almost 2 million hectoliters a year, but your turnover is about 3 months for a single batch. So you need a hell of a lot of lagering capacity. So the 300,000 hectoliters, now mind you, that's 300,000 times 100, so it's 30 million liters. That lagering capacity is needed because you will need 3 months to produce one product like these. So moving on, this is a 5% product. IBU is about 20-ish. They're not so clear about that on the packaging, but this is sort of the OG product that you can find anywhere around the world. Now, this one, right, is a very light, drinkable version of the first original. It is a 4% lager, and at the very front you can see it's a 9 EBC, that's the color indicator, and a 20 IBU beer. This is supposed to be like a beer that you would be drinking on long social occasions when you want a little lower alcohol, something is very light and drinkable. So as we're tasting these, we're likely gonna be able to pick that up. Number 3, on the other hand, 33 is indicating the IBUs. Now right here you can see that it is a 4.6%, so somewhere in the middle. It's a little darker in color and 33 bitterness units. We had the honor to try these two straight from the lagering tanks. Those are essentially unfiltered, unpasteurized versions of these. They were fantastic. I highly recommend you go on and try it yourself. And at the very end, we have something very special. This is a very limited edition. They have a release of this beer once or twice a year. This is Budvar Reserve. This is a strong lager, 7.5% ABV, and it is matured in a lagering tank for 200 days. So they are all very, very special, and you can count yourself lucky if you can find this in the stores, because even in the Czech Republic it is difficult to try because they have a very limited run of this product, and it is hard to try if you're, you know, late to the game. Okay, so now we're gonna start by pouring these out in these sock-covered glasses, and so at the very end we're trying to have a very objective opinion formed on these beers. So, okay, now these beers are poured to the glasses, and now Vicky is going to come mix these up, and then the tasting can begin. All right, so Vicky has arrived. She mixed up these glasses, so now we should be pretty unaware. Okay, so it's revealed. It's surprisingly similar from this angle, at least. I thought it's gonna be very obvious which one's the Vycepny and which one might be the Reserva. They look quite identical. I really like that always because it's not forming opinions in my head, and you can be objective when you try it. So I'm quite excited about this. We have 4 quite amazing beers to try. So let's get into it. And of course, we always ring for a beer at the beginning, so the tasting can officially begin. All right, so numero uno.
This smells a bit like sewage.
Sewage, so in a bad way.
Is it terrible?
So it has a bad smell.
No, it just has a Czech lager smell.
Okay. Sewage, but you said sewage?
Yeah.
Okay. As in sulfur?
I think so. Kind of stagnant, dirty water.
Okay.
But it's not necessarily bad. It's just different.
So it's just sewage-like, sulfury, stagnant, dirty water, but not in a bad way.
No.
Okay.
No, because like I can say that, oh, it's diacetyl, or oh, it's like a bit tutti frutti. I can like definitely smell some kind of fruity flavor. So it's not terrible, but I just want it to sound a bit different, I guess. So my first association is sewage, and I stand by that. But not in a bad way.
It has something of unpleasant aroma to it, but it
it's
also
not unpleasant.
It also has those typical sweet, buttery notes that you're expecting from a Czech lager.
Definitely.
But it also has a little bit of unpleasantness. So yeah, let's taste this. I'm curious.
Okay. Yeah, well, doesn't taste much at all.
Doesn't taste much.
No.
So this isn't quite your favorite, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't particularly like it.
Well, it's quite a watered down experience. And we know from the 4 beers that we're tasting that one of those are pretty much that beer. We have Vycepny, which is very sessionable, all-night drinker beer. It's a lower alcohol. It's a lighter color. It is possibly this beer. And if you want something very simple to drink in quantity, a beer like this can be a perfect answer to your desires. So, I do agree that the flavor-wise it's like pretty watered down and uninteresting, but
Yeah.
that is probably why.
Oh, okay. This, on the other hand, smells extremely alcoholic. The first whiff is like, it's very alcoholic.
Okay. Yeah, it kind of smells sweet to me. There's a little bit of alcohol, but it's not that overpowering for me. I'm curious to taste it because it actually doesn't smell that alcoholic to me as it is for you, but
It tastes kind of malty and sweet and grainy. The actual taste is more like watery in a way, like very diluted, more than the first, actually.
it is. I think the aroma is pretty pleasant for me. Less alcoholic. I think there's gonna be something more alcoholic than this later on, and the flavor is quite balanced. My guess would be it's either the original. I think it's the original, to be honest. It's just that, I had it so many times before that I'm pretty certain that this is the original that you can find everywhere around the world. I mean, if it isn't the original, I'm gonna kick myself for it, but it just feels like this is what we had so many times in Canada or in the Czech Republic.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see, but I think it's just a pretty general Czech lager. It's not too aromatic. It's pretty drinkable, has a very balanced bitterness. There's nothing outstanding about its bitterness. So I think this is gonna be the original. But moving on, I think we are going to be able to find those interesting black sheep beers here, like the Reserva and the 33.
This almost doesn't smell like a beer. This smells like a more complex liquor. Smells almost brandy-like a wheat beer. Extremely aromatic compared to the previous two. And I almost smell some kind of biscuitiness, if that's a word.
Biscuit. You're right. It has kind of that aroma that you're saying that it's almost like a spirit and not a beer. And yeah, a little bit of caramel, that spirit character. It's actually quite interesting.
Yeah, it smells pleasant, absolutely.
So
I wouldn't associate it with beer necessarily.
What does it taste like?
Not that alcoholic, that I expected more of a kick. It's surprisingly an easy drinker.
How about bitterness?
Pretty bitter, but also balanced. But not as hefty as it smells, right?
Wow. To me, it has quite a bitter, pronounced bitterness.
I think it's balanced. I think it's actually very pleasant.
So 33 has a little bit of crystal malt, which suggests a more caramelly, more unique aroma. And I think this is what you're picking up on the nose. And just the bitter finish is also suggestive of 33. So yeah, I think so far, I think this is Vycepny Original 33. But let's just do the last one, and then we're gonna have a pretty good idea what's what.
Oh, this is smoky, like a bonfire. I can almost smell the meat that's being smoked.
Oh.
Yeah, a little bit of vinegar I pick up on as well. I don't know why. Shouldn't be the thing, I guess, but my first note is definitely smoke.
And to me, the smokiness is there, but to me, this is where the alcohol is a little more pronounced. But let's just give it a taste.
I don't detect that much alcohol, to be fair. To me, it's like very bitter, and also like that bit of off flavor of the graininess. It's just a bit overpowering to me.
Yeah, you can kind of smell the graininess.
So this is definitely my least favorite. But I don't detect that much alcohol content, at least taste-wise.
Yeah, you're right. It's not as obvious as I thought.
No, can this be the reserve?
It has quite a bitter aftertaste.
Yeah, so this is the least drinkable, if you want to know. And I think you can agree on this. Because all of the others, they didn't have much of an aftertaste. They are like very easy drinking, and it just depends on your preference. But this is like, you have that, do I want to keep drinking this? Or, yeah, I'm definitely not going to order another round, right?
Oh, yeah. Now I'm a little confused.
As it happens.
Because I'm pretty sure this is the original, this is the Vycepny. But this definitely, you're actually right. This smells more alcoholic than this.
Yep. I called out the alcohol on that one, right? Yeah.
I changed my mind. Absolutely. But it's really interesting because I had a hunch that the last one might be the Reserva, but now I am 100% certain about the order. But let's just say what your order is. Vicky will determine the preferences, which one she liked the best, and I will try to match them to the beers that we tasted. Which one's your favorite?
The third one is my favorite.
This is your favorite?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And this is my least favorite.
Okay, so your first and your last.
Yeah.
And here...
I was trying to determine, but honestly, they're like so similar. I think this is my second favorite and third.
Okay, so here you got first, second, third, and this is your least favorite.
Yeah.
Well, my guess is, this is such a watered down flavor, it has to be the 4% Vycepny. This is warming up. This is just like your traditional ZOS 12th Blade Oat Bohemian Lager. There's nothing really outstanding, or there's nothing really sticking out with a flavor-wise bitterness or anything. Now here, I am almost 100% sure that this is Reserva. And then here is just that 33 IBUs, it's really sticking out. It's interesting because Pilsen Urquell is actually not only 33 but 40 IBUs. It's even higher in bitterness. But this is just, it's not as sweet. It's not as coy, not as sweet as Pilsen Urquell. So that bitterness is just really kind of stinging your tongue. So this is my guess. Let's start with your least favorite. This was number 2, and it is number 2.
Yay.
That's 33. And that is Vycepny.
Wow.
Your second was 4, and that is correct again. And so number 1 is your favorite, and it is actually
I like the Reserva the best.
So you liked the 7.5% ABV lagered for 200 days in lagering vessels.
That's very unlike me.
And so this is essentially Budvar's most exclusive edition that can only be purchased like twice a year and is almost immediately sold out. So we could only buy this specific bottle in a gift pack, a Christmas gift pack, because all of the other bottles were already sold out. We even, inquired at the brewery, they were all sold out. We went to neighboring liquor stores or convenience stores, they didn't have it, and we could get it in a Christmas gift pack.
And also, on the flip side, not just the Christmas gift pack, but then we went to this Christmas fair in the main square.
In České Budějovice?
Yeah, and then we found it on tap.
Yeah. So
and that was nice.
Even though we were looking for this bottle for a long time, we could buy it as a gift pack. We put it aside so we can have this tasting, but then we went out to the Christmas fair and we got lucky again.
We had our fair share,
Yeah. So this was our tasting with the Budweiser / Czechvar brewery from Czech Republic. I hope you guys enjoyed this tasting. Don't forget to grab a beer yourself.
And whenever you have a chance, try to hunt this down because it's an experience, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I do agree. And thank you for joining, and
see you later.
See you later.